Welcome to Primetime Conversations. Here's your host, James Tunstall.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Got another great guest today. A lot of people remember him as the crazy bass player from Alien Ant Farm, but today we know him as Mr. Tye Zamora. Tye, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Crazy bass player, huh? I was never that crazy.
You was animated, is the
Yeah,
word.
bass player. There you go. That's a better one. Actually, I might be a little.
How is things? Everything all good?
Everything's going great right now. Everything's smooth sailing right now.
What's the news been like over there with the potential of World War III over here? It's been all over, but I suppose because we're in Europe, it definitely affects us more. But what's been the general reception of it from the US?
Well, I mean, we got a lot of support for Ukrainians right now. I mean, not one single American, I think, wants this happening or think it's an idea or anything. So there's a lot of heavy support. We're having protests in our streets, not, something major, and I don't think it's impacting, but at least I think, Americans want to show people that they care, regardless of, I think the sentiment over here right now is no one really has any faith or trust in what's going on in our government right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't believe that the president is actually in charge. And
it comes across like that over here in the UK.
Yeah, I think it was just we were walloped with two presidents in a row that were, oh my God, it's just, yeah, it's like a reality television show over here. And
it is.
I can't believe that in the last how many decades, it seems like now, what they've given us to run a country, what they would consider the world's most powerful position. And this is what they give us. This is the best that they got. It's mind-blowing, but just the current state right now, I think everyone has very little faith in our president or that our administration could do anything. Right? So everyone's kind of, I think, hoping for the best, but thinking that there could be a nuclear bomb going off at any minute as well.
Probably.
I don't know about your guys' press, but our press is like, they love that whole fear-mongering thing.
Oh, it's the same over here. And same with our politics and our leaders. I mean, our Prime Minister is Boris Johnson. Yeah. And he looks like a clown. But I don't think any country besides Ukraine, their president is a hero. But
yeah, over here, everyone loves him over here. I've just got off the phone with a friend last night that was telling me, man, whatever it would take to get him to come over here and be our president, and I'd try to vote in any amendment that would make a foreigner allowed to be. But it's just the sentiment of having a leader like that, somebody that tells another country, to basically, get out of here. I'm staying here and I'm fighting. I guess that's the way it used to be back in the days. But
did you see the video of him trolling Putin?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen much. I've been watching as much as I can, and I see like little stuff of Zelensky, but I haven't seen anyone. I mean, I heard that Snake Island thing and the Ghost of Kyiv, or I think it's Kyiv, that like those ended up being propaganda and being false.
I think the Ghost of Kiev, actually, I think it was from a video game. I'm pretty sure it was. But no, so apparently, you don't know what's real, we don't know, but apparently Putin is proper like hiding somewhere in like a base or whatever. And he was doing an interview, and I don't know if he had he had a green screen, and there's like a little microphone in front of him. So he's putting his hand out, but his hand like goes through the microphone.
Yeah.
And it's so he's pretending to be in this like just this normal building, like with all officials, but apparently he might be hiding in the bunker. So the Ukrainian president, he was in a board meeting and he done an interview, and there was the mic in front of him. So just to troll Putin, he actually got the mic and pushed it to one side to show it was real.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, what a legend.
Yeah, I can't imagine that Putin's country's pretty, I can't imagine they're happy, or, I imagine they're pretty upset about what they're doing right now, or what he's doing. I don't think his country would be behind him. I don't think they would think it's okay. And I know they're getting delivered a bunch of propaganda as well, and saying that, I heard that he was telling soldiers that they were going in to liberate these people,
Yeah.
that they were, experiencing whatever. So, I can't imagine he's in a good spot. I imagine probably a lot of his people would want to do away with him right now. So,
Oh yeah. I mean, we will get to the music in a minute, but but over here, so we've got football clubs, soccer clubs, you call them, and one of our clubs over here, Chelsea's based in London, and they've had a Russian owner, Roman Abramovich, and he's been the owner since 2003, so nearly 20 years. So because our government is putting sanctions on these like Russian millionaire billionaires who's got all these big businesses, he's trying to sell his club now before the government basically takes the club away from him in assets. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to put these sanctions in place for these oligarchs and everyone like that to get them to turn on Putin, basically. So it's interesting to see how it develops. Hopefully it resolves pretty quickly and in a peaceful manner, but we don't know. So until then, I'm just going to do a podcast and see how it goes till then.
yeah, I mean, over here, people are trying to point fingers. That lasted for about a day, because everything that happens here, and regardless if it's, some kid gets shot, or, they try to turn it into some kind of tool of division over here.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Either racism, or it's, but right when this first started, they were like, oh, Republican people are praising Putin. And it's like, nobody's praising Putin.
No,
Nobody likes Putin over here.
no.
Yeah.
That's the thing with politics. Like me, I'll be honest, Ty, I'm fairly central. I just look at who I believe is the best leader, or got the best policies, which they never do anyway. But there's not even that sort of thing what's just like a little bit left or a little bit right. It's like far left or far right. And it's not just the US. I've seen it in the UK, and they don't even they don't even care what that side's policies are. It's just that they've picked a side and they're sticking to it blindly. And I'm like, wow, like you need to like learn some, self, I don't know, some independence and like think things through before you make these choices. But it's crazy. It really is.
It is, and it's at the center of everything right now. It's everything's politicized, and music's politicized, movies everything's politicized. It's hard to get away from it now. It's such the topic, and I have a lot of, because I'll go out there and I'll state things on my Facebook or Instagram, and I'm making fun of the current administration like a lot, and I have been ever since they tried to get voted in, because I just thought they were terrible. And and that's from all their past. And not saying that, I don't really dig on Trump, but a lot of his policies, really helped us here, and made us a stronger nation. And so I was just like nothing with the Biden guys, but I've always seen myself as more of a libertarian, which is pretty much right down the middle.
Yeah.
And all freedom, and all kind of do what you want to do. And now I feel like, I agree with guys like Joe Rogan a lot. I agree with guys like Bill Maher a lot,
Yes.
There's a lot of lefties that I agree with, and there's, I'm not too into like the whole church side of things, and I feel like there's certain rights that should be up to people, and some moral things. I think it's kind of for the individual, but I've always saw myself as being, if right at all, slightly to the right, but right now, the way everything's going, I felt like, well, I wouldn't say right now, I'd say recently I always felt far right now.
Yeah.
And now I feel like the middle is starting to become the middle again. And
Yeah.
all right, you know.
That that's the thing with Joe Rogan, and like yourself, I listen to it every week. And when he's having these guests on, because people's like with the vaccine at the minute and everything like that. Like me personally, I haven't had the vaccine.
Uh,
I'm not anti-vax by any means. My parents has had the vaccine. I've got family members who's had it, and they've said to me, "What do you think?" I'm like, "If you want to take it, take it." And I say that to anyone else. They said, "Well, why haven't you taken it?" I'm like, "Because they've cooked this thing up within a few weeks, and I'm waiting to see the side effects." When my mother had the vaccine, I'm tormented. I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna have two heads like a mutant," and but I'm just waiting to see the side effects. But people say to me, "Well, don't you think you're a risk?" And I'm like, "Well, no, because I test myself every week, and I'm like, if I do test positive, I'll just stay at home for a week, you know." But when they're trying to condemn Rogan about it, they're saying, "Well, Rogan's talking like he's expert." I'm like, no, Rogan's talking to actual experts and getting what they're saying.
The media over here is like their prime time is getting like 700,000 viewers during prime
Yes.
time, and he's getting 11 million plus an episode. That's
Yeah.
what it boils down to. That's all it boils down to. I don't know if Neil Young. They have this whole thing of follow the money, and how it all links back to Pfizer money, and maybe he got told since he sold his catalog or 50% of his catalog for 150 million, maybe they had a meeting where they said, we need the help, and Neil Young might not like Joe Rogan, or
Mhm.
some people are really convinced that this vaccine is the way to go. And I took it and I ended up getting really sick
Yeah.
and up in the hospital. And now I won't get the booster.
No.
And I have everyone that's pretty much in this house that didn't have the vaccine that caught it was over it real quick. And I ended up getting the same strand because I got it from them. And
Yeah.
the vaccinated one, and I'm the one that ended up in the hospital and was dying. So, it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say. I know they told me in the hospital, Facebook, they banned me because, well, not banned me, but took my content off the air, give me a warning, because I was telling people in the hospital and getting COVID, I learned that getting the vaccine, this wasn't the thing at the time, but getting the vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting it, and it doesn't
No.
prevent you from spreading it. The only thing that the vaccine could do is help you fight it. If you get it, it can maybe, and the only reason why I would say it does for a fact is because when we were looking at the numbers, if we trust the numbers, you got to say, but if we're looking at the numbers of unvaccinated versus vaccinated deaths, it was all heavy on the unvaccinated side.
Yeah.
So, but it in my case, it didn't prevent me, and maybe prevented me from passing away, but it didn't prevent me from getting as sick as you could possibly get on it.
Mhm.
So without having to be on a ventilator, I was in ICU. I was literally probably like one night of progressing the way that I was progressing away from being put on a ventilator. And I was doing everything to a T. I was taking whatever experimental drug they would give me, anything to keep from getting on the ventilator. So, that's what ended up happening.
Yeah. My father hasn't had COVID, thankfully, because he's the one who I'm scared for of catching it, because he's had health issues, heart problems, some breathing issues as well. He's the main one I'm worried about. My mother, she's had she had both vaccines, she had the booster, she still got COVID, but knocked her off her feet for a day and she was fine. My sister's had it, my brother's had it, my wife has had it. But yeah, my in-laws, everyone I know has had it except me. So I don't know. You just don't know. So,
I heard
but
that I have a band that I'm close to that I worked for a while and talked to one of their guys, and they said there was only a couple guys that weren't vaccinated that were in the crew,
Yeah.
and everyone in that band caught it while they were like in their tour, and they had to cancel their tour. And the guys that were unvaccinated were the only ones that didn't catch it. So it's weird to say, I don't know what to say.
Conspiracies.
I mean, well, Oliver Stone calls those not conspiracy theorists, truth finders or truth seekers.
Yeah.
I kind of go, okay, I get. But I mean, when some of the stuff is true, and throughout this thing, what Joe Rogan was getting busted for, or what he came out and he said, this was considered misinformation at the time. Now it's a fact. And
Yeah.
that was one of the things that I got tagged for misinformation. Now it's fact.
Yeah.
So,
It's
I mean,
and it's like they're moving the goalposts because they said, like, we will talk about music, but I think that originally kids can get COVID, they're not a risk, and then there's like, well, they're potentially a risk, well, now they are a risk, and it's just they just seem to move the goalposts, and you just don't know what to believe. Like I said, I'm no big right-wing conspiracy theorist, same as I'm no big left-wing, conspiracy theorist. I'm fairly neutral. I pay attention to what's happening, but I think COVID's just one of them, like the flu, and it's just the first strain. Which was it? September? You said you got it.
yeah, I got the second strain. I got the D variant.
Yeah, so that was still pretty serious.
Yeah,
But
that was gnarly one.
yeah, I think that's what my father-in-law had as well, because he had these about August time, so
Yeah.
around about the same times, and that was pretty serious. But thankfully, the latest variants seem to be a lot less deadly and severe.
Yeah, I don't think they were lung orientated, but the D variant was still going around.
Mm,
So, we were still experiencing a lot of deaths because that hadn't gone away yet. And the new one, everyone was, I think that's probably what my son got. And he ended up like, he felt like crap for maybe a day, but it wasn't even that bad. He had
no.
it for like 4 or 5 days or something like that. That was it.
Mm. Are you in California? Yeah.
Yeah, Southern California, like little slightly outside of LA area.
Yeah. How was lockdown for you then? Because over here we had like strict lockdown for 3 months. What was it like your end when it was at its worst?
Well, for me, it sucks. So I had my three kids here. My ex-wife slash their mom, um, she was living in Boston for that
Oh
time.
wow.
And she asked if she can bring him out there because the guy that she was dating worked at home, and I had them at that point for, man, probably a couple years, maybe 2 years or something like that, and she had only maybe visit them like once a month or once every other month or so. So she was really wanting to see them. So right when that started happening, when the schools closed, she asked if I would bring them to Boston. I was like, there's no way I'm bringing them to Boston. She's like, well, will you meet me halfway if I pay for your travel expenses? I was like, sure, I'll drive, I'll take a little trip with the kids, whatever. So it started out for us is going to hotel rooms, wiping everything down, having the masks on, taking it very seriously. We did that for a couple of days. Then I came back home, had no kids for months.
Wow.
And yeah, for I think it was, they went at maybe the beginning of April, and I think they came back at the beginning of June or mid-June or something like that. And so I just partied, like drank a lot of vodka, just kind of drank a lot of vodka, and worked on music as much as I could. I couldn't play with anybody. No one wanted to play together. So I just would write and record. And but I lost my source of income for two
Yeah.
years. And I I did, because I usually in my off time, I have to take care of my three kids. That's like what I do. For the most part, I'm a single father. But my girlfriend, she works all the time, so I'm always having to take care of the kids. She owns her own business, so
Oh,
she
sweet.
she works a lot. And so I'm kind of like Mr. Mom. Like, I was just doing laundry and stuff, and I got to go pick up the kids. But we're playing music together. We're trying to create content and stuff so they have a page, and we're having fun. And we just finished a cover song that we're going to see the Pixies in a couple weeks.
Sweet.
And actually, it's like in 1 week from Wednesday. So we're like, hey, let's do a Pixie song. So we decided to like videotape and record a Pixie song. So we hang out and play, but I've been out of work until pretty much recently. Now that the whole concert things are getting up, I haven't done a tour yet. I've done just one-offs and drive. I don't think we've really gone far, but yeah, it's demolished us and our industry. Either though they helped us a little bit, they didn't. Between uh, unemployment benefits, the tax credits, all that stuff. I mean, it helped, but I've nowhere near what was
Yeah.
and all these businesses, like all these, California is an area where it's like the economy is driven by mom and pa stores.
Mm.
We have so many independent business owners here. It's ridiculous. And I think like 30% of those jobs because of the lockdowns, and they're not coming back. So
Yeah.
that really hit us hard. And you know, I know that the whole Ukraine thing's kind of covering that up right now, but a lot of people are really upset that happened. So, I mean, it might end up changing the way the vote is, or the way some people vote, or the way they think, or, I know that's changed a lot of minds. But, for the most part, besides just losing money, the lockdown for me was just getting drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather have not, but it was kind of weird. We didn't want to go anywhere. We did everything that we could. We covered up the way that we did. I wouldn't say we were overly paranoid, but we were cautious. We did the whole hands got all cracked and crazy because of cleaning them so much. Not that I'm complaining, but just trying to stay safe. Didn't interact with anybody. We had birthday parties where, my brother had his 50th, I think, during it. And my parents came, and my dad has diabetes. He's high risk. And he's going to be 79 this year. So he was like 77 why this happened, 78, 77, 78. So we were like, doing like the drive-by birthday parties, and or we'd get out of our car and have the cake there, but no one would be close to each other.
Yeah.
So we did all that stuff, and we did all the precautions. My girlfriend's in the beauty industry, so she got completely shut down. So it got really stressful here for a while.
Yeah, it's same for myself. I'm self-employed, so for 3 or 4 months, I was basically sat on my hands.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they changed it enough where I could go to work. I'm a contractor over there, so that's what I do. So, but thankfully, with my job, I'm always by myself.
Yeah.
So it's interacting with the customers and like at a distance, and then I can crack on and do what I do. So I was fortunate in that sense, but even just them 3 and 4 months, that nearly killed me.
Yeah.
What's the gas prices over there like? Because over here, so I won't be able to convert it from sterling to dollars, but basically over here, diesel started off at £1.10 a litre. Yeah, today it's up to £1.70. It's jumped up by 60 pence
Oh, way
since
more
first
expensive.
lockdown.
Oh, wait, no, you're a leader. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, we're gallon based. So We are at our our lowest price, regular, whatever that is, 89, I think, or 87.
Yeah.
Octane is, at the cheapest that I can find it right now, is $4.79, I believe, right
Wow.
now, or 76. But it's one of those. Uh, the average in California right now, well, this was a couple days ago, and it literally jumped up like 30 cents
That's right.
in the last couple hours. Like
Yeah.
it's so it was I think $5.07 was the average for California. I don't know what that, because I mean, there's people love taxes in California. They love it. They will vote for anything. They're like a kangaroo mouse. Oh yeah, put more taxes on our gasoline. Oh, whatever it is, they'll put gasoline tax in. And our governor, which almost we try to recall him because he's so bad. He put a tax, or we voted for, I didn't, but we voted for a gasoline tax. Our,
Yeah.
our taxes that we pay on our gasoline is more than what we're paying in gasoline. It's like it's somewhere, like, I mean, I don't know the statistics. I just saw the thing and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that people were that stupid, but I guess they are.
Yep.
Um, but they'll say, they always say school and roads, and everyone goes, yeah, because they know everyone's dumb enough to give more taxes, or they'll pay an extra 10 cents every year more, on their gasoline, per gallon, for school and roads, and they'll always divert it to something else. They'll
Yeah.
always divert that, and the recent one is they diverted it to climate change. So, and people just love that here. They're just like, oh yeah, climate change, let's do that, let's pay more money in gas because we know that's going to fix it. So it's yeah, it
I've
is
got,
what
there's a saying, Ty, common sense ain't that common.
yeah, it's definitely not. And that's where
I
it's kind of now. It's like it's not it's not so much Democrat versus Republicans here anymore. It
Hmm.
was, but now it's kind of getting more common sense versus the crazy.
Yeah.
Common
Um,
sense is definitely the minority.
oh, definitely. I used to do a wrestling podcast. Well, this was originally a wrestling podcast when I first started, but now I do entertainment. But I used to do another wrestling podcast, and during we've had lots of guests, and we've spoke about the opioid crisis in
Oh,
California. Is that
yeah,
still quite a big deal over there? Yeah.
real big deal. I mean, it's just gets worse and worse. I mean, you know, open border policies over here that they just let it come through. And they're trying to get, they mask it as dreamers coming through, and everyone wants people to come here and have a great opportunity if they want it. They want them to escape those kind of countries. But what ends up happening is the cartels exploit that,
Yes.
and the child trafficking and the human trafficking, and drug dealing, whatever, it all gets exploited. And now it's to the point to where this country has such a bad fentanyl problem,
Oh
where,
man. Yeah. Well, we spoke about that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you can kill everybody in this country something like 7 times now, something like that, the amount of fentanyl that we have coming into this country.
Mhm.
uh, it's just it's I have never, I'm 44 years old, and I know heart disease is like the number one killer here, but I would say I know more people that have died in the last couple years. I would say like the last 3-4 years from fentanyl
Wow.
than anything that I've ever, like, more than heart disease, heart attacks, cancers, COVID, all those. I know more. And the sad thing is, it's people that are not drug addicts. It's people
No.
that are trying it once, or they don't realize that their cocaine is laced with it. They don't realize
I've heard
that.
weed as well. People's putting it on people's weed.
Well, I was just gonna post something the other day, and I'm probably gonna post it here now, or within the next day or two, about a video that's educating people, and they're saying that it's in weed and all that. It's like a 23-minute real stories from parents that lost their kids that were doing well in school, and it's just watching the parents sitting there crying, say this is not what they would want. They wouldn't want to hurt their family like this. Like, we were all good, we were all good. We had like, this wasn't a suicidal person. This was a person that ended up taking something that they didn't know they were taking. So it's been a real bad problem here. When I first started out with Soli Erna playing for him, my first show with him was at a like an awareness rally for opioid crisis in the Northeast. And it was pretty alarming because I believe it was maybe the beginning of October, or maybe even earlier than that. It might have been September, but we did a show, just a little show, just to show the support. But they put for everybody, and I believe it was just like in that county. I'm not sure if it was that county or it was the state of New Hampshire. I can't remember, but we did it at the city hall of this city, and the whole lawn was covered by somebody who passed away from opioids.
Wow.
And I'm saying, I mean, there was like thousands of them. And it was just that year alone up to that point. So it was only like 10 months at the time, if that. And the place was just covered with crosses everywhere. And I think they had the names of the person on every single one or whatever. So they had a real count. It wasn't like, they were making it look drastic. And that was the first time, besides, driving through areas like Cincinnati or, just wherever, and you see billboards for it.
Yeah.
That first time it was like actually in front of my face. I think that was like, I think 2017.
Right.
So to where it's already been an epidemic by then, and it's only gotten worse because I didn't know anybody that had even an opioid problem, let alone moving here and knowing people that are basically dying of synthetics rather than opioid. But
Yeah.
it's either you take the oxycontins or the codones or whatever, and then you become a heroin addict. And now it's just like you're taking what you think is an oxycontin, might even be the first time, too much fentanyl and you're dead.
Yeah. It's deadly thing, Ty. I mean, things used to be so simple 20 years ago in the late 90s, early 2000s. I don't know if that's a great segue, but I suppose it's the one way we can get it. Let's talk some music. Let's go a little bit upbeat for everyone. But yeah, I suppose Alien Ant Farm. It was it Terry who came up with the name of the band?
Yeah, he came up with the name. We wanted some kind of spacey thing. I was
Right.
a little 18-year-older when we started the band. And I kind of felt like I was always a guitar player before that. I was in
Right.
only like I would say one serious band before. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's like a band that I thought can actually make it. And so I played guitar. And then when Mike and I started playing, I was playing bass. And I thought I was so cool at the time. So I wanted to name the band, we wanted like a spacey theme. So I was like, oh, let's call ourselves Masters of the Universe. It's gonna be so cool and so amazing musicians and whatever. But we kind of stuck with the theme, but I think we kind of toned it down. I was thinking a little too large for my own good.
To be fair, Ty, with the conversation we've had just a minute ago, I wouldn't be surprised if this is an Alien Ant Farm.
Yeah, right. I mean, seriously. I mean, yeah. But yeah, Terry came up with the name, and that's essentially what it was. I kind of do believe that a little bit, though.
I can't help but believe it. We're
Yeah,
definitely a reality show.
yeah. I'm not a huge like believer of, but it just kind of seems like it makes sense.
Yeah,
I got a shit ton of back problems, and I would have to say that's because we're probably not supposed to be from this planet, and our the gravitational pull here might just be a little too much for us, and it's giving
probably.
us kinds of aches and pains. But
In
but yeah,
truth, we're just getting old, ain't we?
but yeah, it's true. But yeah, we're not supposed to live this long, so
No.
our bodies should be breaking down by now. But yeah, I've always, when he first came up with that concept of like, the aliens putting the human race on the planet and watching from afar, I always thought that was a real cool
Yeah,
idea, concept. Even though I think the whole idea and concept sounds like, I think the name Alien Ant Farm to me sounds playful. It's
it's a
and
great name for a TV show as
I
well.
think too. I think it's actually called the X Files, but and I think that's where he might have actually got it. Is that I think they were talking about uh, something. There might be some dialogue in that actual show where I think he said the Earth is
Right,
one big alien ant farm. So I think that's actually where he got it. To
right.
be mistaken, but I never seen the scene, or I never researched it, and I watched X Files for a while,
I
uh,
watched it. Yeah,
but I didn't, and I'm pretty sure either I know it was an influence. I don't know if it was like a direct thing, but I think it was something he was watching, and then he was kind of thinking about that concept while he was at work, and and was like, oh, let's try Alien Ant Farm, and it was weird because we had like Masters of the Universe, which I knew was kind of a joke, but I liked the cockiness. I know it's He-Man, but I like the sentiment of thinking they're like, oh, we're so good, that confidence coming out like that, um, especially when we were in other bands and we're like, oh, we're breaking up our other bands to be this one band.
yeah.
I thought that was a really real cool way for musicians, a rock band, aggressive rock band, to come out kind of just like swinging, saying this is how we feel about ourselves. And we haven't even written like any songs, or we only have like one or two songs, and just kind of think of ourselves that way. So it was kind of just like, we thought we were going to be successful no matter what, like we were going to do it or die. And so that portion of it, I really believed in. But as soon as he said Alien Ant Farm, I don't think no one shot it down. No one said, I really think this would be a better name. There was never a list. There was none of that stuff. It was just, once he said it, everyone kind of looked around at each other, and the concept was explained, like, like, you know, the people here and the aliens watching from afar. And I think we all just said, yeah, that'll work. I
Mm.
think that's the name. Yeah, let's go with that. And it was really weird. There was not much thought to it. It was just one of those things that, when an artist writes a song and they spend literally like 30 seconds on it, and it ends up becoming a huge hit. It's just one of those things where it's just like, dude, it was so easy. It was just so meant to be. It was just so easy. And I think picking the name was one of those, like, it was so easy because it was meant to be type of things.
Awesome. Suppose we'll talk about when I first time. So growing up, I was a Michael Jackson fan, and all of a sudden I've heard your version of Smooth Criminal. I'm like, what's this? The same Michael Jackson, and I must have been 9, 10 maybe when it came out. Wouldn't have about that, and well, I loved it. And like I had family relatives who loved it. All my friends at school loved it. What led to the decision of recording Smooth Criminal?
So it has quite a little history behind it. My dad got that when VHS was really big. My dad got the Moonwalker VHS,
Right.
and I was kind of just, I mean, everyone in the band was a Michael Jackson fan, but I was really, there was something about Smooth Criminal that I couldn't get enough of. And I watched that videotape every day for, man, I can't even tell you how long. It was a long, long time. And I would watch it periodically. And there was just something about it that just, it just overwhelmed me. I didn't realize it was something that was like telling me, hey, you need to fall in love with this so you can make a living for yourself or something. But but I jammed it a couple times with Mike, because Mike and we were kind of really the guys that started the group, and it kind of, the Alien Ant Farm thing came out of Mike and I's passion to play with each other and are wanting to play with each other in a band. And we would play like Primus covers and stuff, but we would always get together. We've tried to practice at least 4 times a week. We were really dedicated to it. And Mike and I would meet up usually hours sometimes.
Yeah.
Really, the guys would. And that's where a lot of our songwriting came from, or that's where I would work out some parts that I had going on in my head. That's where some of the songs, like Mike wrote songs that were started with the beat first, and I would put music to it. So a lot of that stuff happened there. A lot of the Ant Farm writing came out of Mike and I just jamming together a lot. Um, so Smooth Criminal was one of those songs where we would jam, mess around with it. But one day, we were in between songs. Terry was tuning up his guitar, and I just started playing it. And
Mm.
so Mike knew, because we were messing around with it before at rehearsal, he just started jamming in on it, and we actually like really started playing it. And I just kept doing the bow on it, bow, bow, and we played that for a little bit. And I shit you not, man, just between a bass player and a drummer, that crowd went absolutely apeshit.
Wow.
Absolutely apeshit, to where when we got done with that show, we all looked at each other and said, we got to cover that song. There's magic in that song. There's something about it. And so we ended up learning it right away, like probably within the next practice, which after a show probably happened no more than 2 days later, and learned the song, and we were off. The first time, I mean, every time we would play it around here, or I would say the Southwest United States, because that's really as far as we went. I mean, we might have went up to like Washington State, but we were kind of like Nevada, Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, Nevada. We would probably, go up to like maybe Central or Northern California, and that was about it. And obviously Southern California. Um, but every time we played it and people didn't have a recording of it or a recording of our stuff, and they were finding out about us the first time, every time we played that, everyone either went crazy or it turned heads, or we just won the audience.
Wow.
It was just, there's a strange magnetism about that song that I don't even think Michael Jackson had. you
Mm.
know he had the song, he had the chord progression, he had everything there, except he didn't do it the way that we did it. He didn't do it hard rock. And if I think he would have did it hard rock version, I mean, he was already doing stuff like Dirty Diana,
Yeah,
and it was on that same album.
that's
And
right.
had he treated Smooth Criminal the way he treated Dirty Diana, I think he would have had a number 1 hit. I think it would have been something that it would have done what we did to it. And we took that everywhere, and it did well.
How much fun did you have filming the music video?
I didn't have much fun at all. I hated shooting
No?
that video. It was about 108 degrees in Van Nuys, and we had to be on harness. And so I had to wear clothes. I'm not a small guy. At that time I was probably, I don't know, I'm not that tall either. I'm only like 5'9".
That
And
seems very.
yeah, I'm 5'9", and right now I'm like 250 pounds, but at that time I was like 200, I don't know, maybe 210 or something like that, 215, something like that. So I was a heavier guy. That was when Dryden was probably like 135
Yeah,
and
you're skinny.
30, like Mike Dryden is smaller guys. So we had to have clothes on, and then they put this harness thing on, and then we had to put clothes on top of that. So I was dying. I thought I was having a heart attack. Like my heart was just racing. Here I am, like 24 years old, I think. And it's just, I'm like, dude, am I gonna have a heart attack? I'm 24 years old. Like, what the hell's going on? But it was just so hot outside and probably being dehydrated and whatever. So I had a real hard time shooting that video. But the end result was amazing. And just being in that wrestling rink, I would say the shooting the video was cool out, even though it was 107 or I shit you not, it was really like that hot outside.
Yeah.
And so that really sucked. But it was just the harness. We had to be in that harness for quite some time, like a couple hours, I think. And I just always felt like I was dying for like a couple hours. It was just the worst, one of the worst experiences of my life, seriously. But shooting videos and playing Rockstar, because I would say at that time we were still playing Rockstar, because we hadn't quite broke out crazy yet. So, but I mean, all that stuff's fun. That's a lot of fun. And you got movie trailers and all these production people that are all treating you a certain way, and you kind of feel like you get that taste of, I can get away with whatever the hell I want to get away with right now. And you kind of understand why Hollywood celebrities are so fucked in the head, the way they're treated.
What was the feedback from Michael Jackson himself when he heard Smooth Criminal? I would imagine he was rewarded with the royalties quite a fair bit, so he must have been quite happy about that.
Yeah, I think he made half of the money. I think that's what
Yeah.
it was, half of the royalties for writing it, and we got the performance. Um, he actually liked it. We heard, we did a tribute show. I believe this is where we met him, but we did a tribute show for him, and his photographer, like the guy did everything for him, came and talked to us, and he was like, "Hey, I don't know if you know this, but I want to let you know that Michael loved your guys' version of it, and he really got a kick out of it because Quincy Jones hated it. He
Oh,
really
well.
didn't like the song, and not our version, but he didn't like Michael's
Oh,
version.
right.
So when we did it, it was kind of like one of those things where Michael was like, "See, I told you it was a hit song," like because I don't think Quincy ever really got behind it. So I don't know if that, I think he took it to like number 16 or something like that. And I don't think, I don't know if Quincy's influence on it, not liking it, didn't make that a number one single, or, I'm sure Quincy could have probably got it to a number one, but I don't know if his production value on it changed because he didn't really like it that much. He didn't believe in the song. So yeah, it just went over his head. And I think Michael appreciated that ours went to number one, so he could have pointed to tell Quincy, like, "See, I told you, dude. I told you the song. You just didn't know what to do with it," kind of thing. So, I mean, I'm making all that up, but that's actually did, he really enjoyed it. But the photographer, the guy that actually took that famous picture of Michael's feet doing the whole stand up, and it has the lines after it, that he's the guy that took that picture, took
Wow.
that shot. So it's so the guy's legit, and that's like his business card too, is that shot he took of
Sweet.
Michael. So that was cool. And while it was blowing up, Jermaine hit us up and said he really liked it too, and appreciated what we were doing and stuff. When we shot the video, we sent it to Michael get like the okay, because it was a fun video, and it was all this parody of him, and we didn't want to offend him. We
Hmm.
want him to see it as a respect and having a good time at the same time. And he didn't like the little dancing kid with the mask on.
Yes.
Thought that was offensive. So, or at least at the beginning, he thought it was kind of offensive. So he asked us to reshoot it, which we did, and said to take the kid's mask off. We took it off, reshot it, sent it to him. He said, "You know what? Actually, I think it does look better with the mask on. Go back to the original version." So that's
That
what
kid
happened.
was that kid was ahead of the time with COVID as well.
Yeah, it's funny how that, like, I left in 2014, and I've always was, they never released anything without me playing on it, writing on it, anything like that. So I've always had writing credits and everything, and made the same amount of money, sometimes more, on writing stuff than the guys did. Like me and Dryden made more because we had more stake in the publishing, I guess you would say,
Yeah.
with when it came to residuals. Not much, but just some things here and there we would get a little bit more credit or something. But for the most part, it was like it was all like 25% each member. We had split everything up. So when that whole thing was, anytime they would release an album or something would happen where they would kind of get like a resurgence, or something would happen, they're out there working, I'd be like, come on guys, you can do better than that. Like, give me more money, man. Give me some more money. I was always one of those things where, oh, let COVID's out. Now the Alien F farm's getting spins, and I'm like, go out there and I'll, try to promote it as much as I can, because I'm like, hey man, keep making me more money. This is great. This is
So,
awesome. They can go out there and sweat it out and play it on the stages while I just sit at home and take care of kids, work on music, and get paid. It's great.
well, my favorite song from you is Tye, and it's actually my son's favorite. One of their favorite songs is Movies.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely love Movies. And you filmed two videos. There was the original one where it was in a three.
Three
So
videos.
I've seen the one where you're in like a film studio, but
Yep.
and obviously there's the main one, the theater.
Yeah.
Um, but the one what I want to talk about, the theater one, obviously it's a fun interview. You're parodying all these movies, but the main skit is the Karate Kid and Mr. Miyagi. And
Yeah.
I know that your kids do martial arts, so I would imagine you're a Cobra Kai fan.
Yeah, totally a Cobra Kai fan. The whole family is, and that started out with Karate Kid. We're big Karate Kid fans. That's
Same here.
still to this day. I think the original Karate Kid is like one of my top 10. Has to be one of my top 10 movies of all time. I saw it in the movie theater. My dad was like, "Oh, I'm going to take you to this movie called Karate Kid," and me and my brother was kind of like, "What, Karate Kid?" Because anything that's got like the name boy in it or kid, or you're kind of just like, "What is this? This is going to be some like Hallmark movie," and it ended up being one of our favorite. I mean, that was like a movie when that ended. We were like cheering at the end of that movie when we were kids.
I was
So
and I was Team Johnny back then.
really,
Yeah.
I'm Team Johnny now, but since Cobra Kai came out, I love Johnny now. I think he's amazing. But no, actually, I think Johnny got redeemed, and he got redeemed at the end of the movie, and then everyone liked Johnny at the beginning of part two.
Yeah.
I think Johnny was redeemed right away, right when he handed Daniel-san the trophy, and he was like, "You did it, man. You earned it." Whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, Johnny's a good guy. He's
Johnny
just
is the good guy.
he's a good guy. Come on now." He likes heavy metal and Eagles and karate, stuff that kicks ass. Oh, get out, get out. I had a dog run in here. Yeah, get.
What? So how was Pat Morita, Mr. Miyagi? You must have a fun Mr. Miyagi story.
Yeah, I just told one the other day, actually. I was telling my dad, we call it the attitude test, and Miyagi didn't pass the attitude test with my dad. My
No.
dad always has, yeah, he gives everybody the attitude test, and if he doesn't like you, my dad just he has no use for you at all. He won't talk to you, he won't even care. So you have to pass the attitude test with my dad. This is like every salesman, every waiter, like host it anywhere you go. If you don't pass the attitude test, my dad will just bail.
Hmm.
He's just out. He won't patronize you, he won't give you a dime. You have to be, I guess he's like a pure consumer capitalist, whatever. So I mean, good for him. He's doing it the right way. So Pat Morita, uh, I mean, it was cool hanging out with him. He was, talking about, Cheech and Chong, because those were like his buddies or whatever. And he used to hang out with them, smoke a bunch of weed with those guys and stuff. So and at the time we were, I wasn't, but the other guys in my band, well, two guys in my band were big pot smokers. So that was like really cool that they got to, smoke weed with Pat Morita. Um, but Dry and I, we weren't pot smokers. But so my dad went up to him, and I can't remember who it was, but it might have been my girlfriend's younger brothers and sisters. It might have been my niece and nephew. I can't remember, but my dad got, I think, some Ant Farm promo stuff or whatever, like a poster, and asked him to sign it. And my dad was like, "Who's this for?" And he goes, "It's for the kids." Like, I don't know if he explained to him that he was my father, but he should have probably known if you're on a big like set in a place that's like, it's like a movie set where we went and worked with him. And well, we worked with him in two different places, but we worked with him at a movie theater on Hollywood Street, or Hollywood Boulevard, whatever, in Hollywood. And then we went to a like a sound studio up in Sylmar, California, which is kind of up there by Burbank, whatever. It's like a little north of Hollywood. And and my dad asked him for autographs, and he didn't get them. Yeah, or the guy, he said, "You're not going to sell these on eBay or something like that." And my dad was like, "Never mind, forget you." So that's that was my little thing with my dad. Got mad at Pat Morita, and still to this day, when you talk about that, he's like, "Oh man, that guy, My dad has a problem with Pat Morita. It's amazing, and he's gonna go to the grave with that. Maybe he'll be like, "Son, the last thing I have to tell you is I forgive Pat Morita."
Well, it's a great video, and I love the song so much. I listen to it at least once a week, if not once every couple of days, because I just love the song. It was actually my eldest. It was actually his lullaby song. I would sing it to him on night time to get him to sleep every time. He would just he loved it. But all the success. But one thing I did find out a few years back was the big tour bus crash he's had, and it put Dryden in the real bad. Obviously, the bus driver sadly passed away, but I know it put Dryden in a bad way as well.
Yeah, broke his neck, his C2 vertebrae. We always refer to it as the Christopher Reeves break, because that's what ended up causing Christopher Reeves to have full paralysis. And yeah, I mean, he was in bad shape. He went to, that happened in Spain. I believe they moved him to London, where he got a halo traction put on, and then they had to fly him to Los Angeles. And when he got to Los Angeles, they took that off, and they had to fuse a bone in his hip, or take out a portion of his hip to fuse it. And he has wires and screws and all that stuff in his neck, and a lot of nerve damage Like he says that his whole upper body, like his whole bust, neck, shoulders area, it always feels like he has a really bad sunburn
Hmm.
from it. So, and it, you know, surprisingly, I don't know if it's because of age or you know, his physique or anything like that, but we were working on the record like a year after that happened. We went
Wow.
from thinking that, you know, he could potentially not walk or anything, you know, and from going to that to saying, okay, he's going to be okay, as far as walking and stuff's concerned, to going like, hey, we think he can actually still be in the band and, you know, sing and perform and do all that stuff. So, and you know, it was obviously it's a slow process, but I thought it was amazing that we went from a bus accident to like, I'm not sure exactly when that album released or when we finished recording it, or if I think about it now, it was during we were recording it the Ducks, while the Ducks and the Devils, I think it was the Devils, were in the Stanley Cup. So yeah, so it had to have been like a year later that we were actually like recording the album.
Wow.
So that was, I thought that was pretty impressive to like have a couple songs ready to go for the next album, deal with injuries, deal with, you know, writing songs, pre-production, and then actually, you know, recording and doing the record in like a year's time. I was pretty impressed with that. I thought that was really cool. That's when we got to work with the DeLeo brothers of Stone Temple Pilots, and that was quite an amazing experience, let me tell you.
So you mentioned earlier that you left the band in 2014. Why did you leave? I know you left a
I
bit
left.
earlier to go to college, but
Mhm.
then you came back and then you left again. What led to that?
Just not seeing eye to eye, pretty much. There was, you know, I would consider there was drinking and drug problems going on. Not nothing that was, well, I would consider it a problem, not to where like someone was going to die or anything like that, but to the point to where I think it was getting in the way of progress of the band. And I feel kind of like everyone kind of lost the fire for the band in the band, and I saw myself, at least, and they might have a whole different view on this, but I saw myself as trying everything that I could and working hard for the band to try to progress and keep going forward. And I always had the best intentions. I would go to the other players' houses and record them, so they wouldn't have to go to a studio if we needed, you know, tracks to be done, working on demos, whatever. Just I was very involved in trying to get that whole train moving. And I think the label that we were on, plus the management that we had, was really uninspiring because they weren't getting us gigs and they weren't really putting us out there, and a lot of things that needed to be done that they weren't doing. And I wanted to just basically like get rid of everybody. And once I think we had a conversation on the day that I was like the last show that we played, I sent an email out to our manager at the time, that we wouldn't be working with him anymore because we just thought he was doing a poor job.
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of was like, this is my last straw. This is it, that I'm going to work with this guy. And those guys, he just wrote an email back, oh, this isn't broken, we can fix this. And I was like, enough's enough. We've gone over that. We've had this email going on for like the last 2 years, and we've been stagnant trying to get this album out, or at least work on this album, whatever. And I mean, it's basically, it's your fault because you're mismanaging the band, and you can't get, like, the musicians are doing their thing. We're writing the songs, we're recording the songs, like we're traveling to record with different producers. We're doing what you're asking us to do, and we have a whole album, and you can't seem to get the record label in line or in check, or whatever you have to do as a manager, you're not doing. So when those guys decided that um, they didn't want to sever ways with the management, I just kind of threw my hands up at that time. So it was like a combination of the bad management, the bad decision making in the band, the laziness, no fire, and then on top of that, fights and stupid things that we would get into for no good reason, just because of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And things that were happening that I thought we were burning bridges everywhere, because of, lewd behavior. um and when you start having kids, and you're sitting here going, dude, my reputation is kind of like, because of this guy, I'm getting a bad rap, and I got kids to feed, and no one wants to work, and I got kids to feed.
Yeah.
I got stuff to do here, and no one wants to do anything. That I was just like, I'm done. I'm just going to go to school and do school. Oh, actually, that was the first time. Second time I wasn't going to go to school. I just was like, I'm going to go work for I ended up working for Limp Bizkit.
Right.
That's what I did when I actually left the last time. Was first time was for school. Second time was to go work for Limp Bizkit.
Are you still in contact with the band?
With Limp Bizkit or Alien Ant Farm?
Alien Man fan.
I am with Mike. I ran into Dryden a couple years ago, like probably a month before COVID hit. I haven't talked to him or seen him since. I still talk to Mike pretty frequently. Sometimes, we'll go and jam, or listen to music together, or do, go. We went to a football game together. But yeah, me and Mike, we still hang out, and we still talk and all that stuff. I haven't spoken to Terry and probably since I left the band. And when I talked to Dryden 2 years ago, I was very annoyed. He was drunk, and it's one of the reasons why I didn't want to be in the band anymore, because of his behavior when he's drunk. When he's sober, he's a great guy, and we get along quite well, and we laugh our asses off, and we're very much brothers, and care for each other and all that stuff. But when he drinks, he becomes a real bad, like, not just a real jerk.
Yeah. I had a similar conversation with Cohen, the bass player from Sum 41, and I asked the reason why Steve, the drummer, left the band. Similar story, like there was a lot of drinking during that time with the band, and Derek, lead singer, was going for a really bad time, and his constant drinking and things like that led towards Steve leaving, because Steve couldn't cope with it anymore, and that's been a long while now. So similar sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame anybody that sits there and looks at something. It's one thing when you're a kid, but when you start getting older, and you're just like, you're just trying to have a good time with some bands. I think when you first kind of get out there, a lot of bands, I mean, I would say we did. I don't know about a lot of bands, but some bands have this competition in them where they want to be better than the other bands, and only the bands they approve of are like the bands they try to have friendships with, rather than just being cool to everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of like what we did when we first came out, but I got over that. Like, I would say the second time around, when I came back into the band after leaving for college, I came back into the band, and I was like, I want to do this the right way. Like, I want to do this because we love to do it and have fun and be cool to each other and be cool to everybody else. And then it was like a whole other level of disrespect with the drinking and stuff like that with other bands and other band members and stuff. And where yeah, you just go, this isn't fun. This
Yeah.
just isn't fun. Like I'm just not, I'm not enjoying this. Like I just want to go home and be away from that guy, you know. And I kind of had like two of those in Alien Ant Farm,
Yeah.
where it's, you know, I mean, they just at different times they would just rub me the wrong way. And then they, you know, when one would do a really bad behavior and I would call one out on it, the other one would stand up for the other one, where you're just like, wow, you're encouraging bad behavior. You're, you know, you're being an enabler. Like
Yeah.
this is worse. So yeah, it was just time. I felt like I had, you know, outlived my stay or whatever you call that. Like I needed to go. I just couldn't do it anymore, you know. Doesn't mean I wouldn't play with them ever again, but as of right now, I don't have any interest.
Well, before we go, Ty, I like to always end with a fun story. And one of the things he's performed, and it's something I always wish I could have went to, but I never did, was the Vans Warp Tours. I would imagine you got at least one funny story from them tours.
Um, yeah, I guess when Pennywise wanted to kick our ass, that's a pretty funny story. Uh, I had no clue it was going on, but there was, let's see, there was a lot of fun stuff that happened on that tour. That was a nightmare tour, though. Um, I would say hanging out with 311 was like the coolest part of the tour. Um, there was, I have it on videotape, actually, of Dryden doing beer bongs with outside 311's bus. They had three buses and they would like park them like a compound.
Yeah.
And we'd always go and hang out at the 311 compound. And we hit it off with those guys really well, made really good friends with them, still talk to them to this day. Um, but I have these pictures. We would go over there and we would just be ourselves and just kind of like berate them. And I think they enjoyed it. I thought they thought it was fun watching these guys that were, you know, a little crazy or whatever. And I have Dryden on videotape where he's like taking beer bongs. All the 311 guys are there, some friends, their crew, whatever, other people. And he has his pants down and he's grabbing his dong and he's squirreling it around while he's taking beer bongs. That stuff was kind of funny, you know, when you're in your mid 20s and you know you're playing music for a living with guys, you know, playing with the bands that you worshiped for the last, you know, 7-8 years, and you're hanging out with them every day, you know, taking beer bongs and doing stuff like that. Like that was like some real fun. I can't
Yeah.
believe this is my life right now. That was really cool.
Awesome. Well, Ty, it's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. But before we do go, if there's anything you want to promote or where people can find you on social media, please tell them.
Well, I believe I'm Tye Zamora on Facebook. I do a lot of it's very opinionated on there, so be careful. Tymus, I believe it's Tyemus, is my Facebook, or not Facebook, Instagram
Instagram.
page. That's my personal stuff. Other than that, Meek is my band. It's spelled MEK, like Mech, but it's Meek band. You can, if you want to download or listening to my record where I'm the bass player, singer, producer, writer guy, look up an album called Red Sprite Lightning, and the band's name is Meek. I'm working on a new record right now. It's a passion project that I love doing very much, and it's purely for doing it for the sake of the art, and You know, I don't think a guy like me can be super popular anymore, so I'm not gonna try for that. I'm just gonna try to put cool stuff that I think is cool out to the world. So if you want to check it out, please do.
Awesome. And yeah, it's my absolute pleasure. And yeah, hopefully, if ever you're touring over in the UK, hopefully we can do this again in person.
I would love to, man. I would definitely love to.
Cool.